What if the creature you were taught to fear turned out to be the one who understood you best? The Legend of Ochi isn't your typical fantasy adventure, it's a hauntingly beautiful tale of connection, betrayal, and rediscovery. One girl's journey to uncover the truth shatters everything she thought she knew about family, loyalty, and monsters. The movie opens in the icy blue waters of the Black Sea lies a snow-capped Carpathian island steeped in myth and danger. This isn't just any land, it's a living storybook filled with prowling wolves, feral bears, and something much more mysterious. A creature passed down through generations in bedtime horror tales. The Ochi bloodthirsty, misunderstood, and feared by all. Yuri, a thoughtful and determined teenager, isn't afraid of legends. She's obsessed with learning the truth, especially about the Ochi creatures her father, Maxime, once blamed for the disappearance of her mother, Dasha. One day, she walks into the town's musty old library, dust rising with every step. She's not here to check out fairy tales, she's here to unravel one. That night, Yuri joins Maxim and a group of local boys on a forest hunt. They're not tracking deer, they're after the Ochi, which they believe are behind the recent attacks on livestock. Just before they set off, Maxim hands Yuri a beautifully carved knife, claiming it's an heirloom passed down through their family. It's a rare, emotional gesture from a man who seldom shows tenderness. Yuri accepts it, clinging to the idea that maybe, just maybe, there's still warmth in him. Together they trek into the dense forest, shadows thick and ominous. A strange melody drifts through the trees, a haunting lullaby sung by unseen creatures. They find them, Ochi, huddled together, their song more mournful than menacing. But Maxime doesn't hear beauty, he sees only threats. The boys light fires, trees igniting in flashes of orange. The Ochi scatter, shots ring out, chaos erupts. Amidst the madness, Yuri sees a mother Ochi trying desperately to protect her child, perched high on a branch. But before Yuri can intervene, Pro, her adopted brother, fires, hitting the mother. Flames force her to flee, leaving the young one behind. The next day, the Carpathian landscape looks deceptively peaceful. Maxim praises the boys for their bravery. He reminds them that their families lost goats, sheep, and cattle to these creatures. This wasn't just a hunt, it was justice. He boasts of Pro, taken in as an orphan at 14, now a proud, strong hunter. He tells them all they were entrusted to him for a higher purpose. Later that day, over lunch, Maxime hears a familiar tune on the radio and pauses. It was once his and Dasha's favorite. Yuri tries to connect, bringing up something she learned at school about the Pinoca bird. The father lays the eggs but throws the chick out of the nest. The mother teaches it to fly. I thought it was cool, she says, trying to lighten the moment, then quietly asks to meet her mom. Maxime snaps. She left us, he says bitterly. She doesn't deserve to be found. Frustrated, Yuri storms off into the forest alone. The trees welcome her in a way people never have. There, she stumbles upon a heartbreaking sight, the baby Ochi caught in a rusty bear trap. Its cries echo through the woods. She cautiously approaches, uses a branch to pry the trap open and frees it. The creature glares at her at first, but doesn't attack. It senses something different. That night, while the village boys polish their rifles and Maxim sleeps soundly in his room, convinced that danger has passed, Yuri moves like a whisper through the hallways. Her heart thunders in her chest, but her hands are steady. The baby Ochi is hidden in her coat, squirming gently as she sneaks him up to her bedroom. It's a risky move, but for the first time, she feels like she's doing something right. Once inside, she places him gently on her bed. The creature whimpers in pain. His leg is still bleeding from the trap. Yuri pulls out a first aid kit, but as she reaches for him, the Ochi snarls, ears flattened, teeth bared, terrified and defensive. Thinking fast, she rummages through her drawer and pulls out a pair of plastic vampire teeth from an old Halloween costume. Sliding them over her own teeth, she grins awkwardly, trying to mimic his appearance. Slowly, the Ochi's growling softens into curiosity. His posture loosens. And in that tiny silent moment, they begin to trust each other. She tries again to treat the wound, and this time, he lets her. As she carefully wraps the bandage around his injured leg, the Ochi's wide eyes wander across her room and land on her pet caterpillar crawling along the windowsill. He reaches toward it hungry. Yuri rushes to stop him. No, she says, voice firm but kind. The Ochi blinks, then gently scoops the insect up and places it back on the leaf where it came from. Yuri stares, overcome. You're no demon, she whispers, her voice trembling. They're all wrong about you. But their quiet connection is suddenly broken by a creak from outside the door. Pro, he's heard something. Yuri's breath catches. She moves quickly, grabbing a small bag, stuffing it with food, bandages, warm clothes, and the last piece of bread from under her pillow. Just as she's latching the window open, Pro barges into the room. His eyes widen at the sight of the creature. Yuri doesn't back down. I'm taking him home, she says calmly but firmly. And don't act like you care. You're only ever kind when no one's watching. And just like that, she's gone slipping into the cold moonlit forest with the baby Ochi in her arms. By morning, Maxim notices something's off. The house is too quiet. Yuri's chair at the breakfast table is empty. Her room is cold. On the bed lies the knife he once told her was an heirloom. A note is tucked beneath it. It reads, "It's not real. None of it is. I don't believe your lies anymore." On the floor, he sees droplets of blood and tufts of dark fur. Fear twists his stomach. He doesn't ask questions, he assumes the worst. The Ochi have taken his daughter. Fueled by rage and guilt, Maxim throws on his armor and storms out, rallying the boys. "They've taken her," he declares, "and we will bring her back." Far down in the valley, nestled beneath the mountain's shadow, Dasha, Yuri's long-lost mother, tends her sheep. The wind carries a sound through the hills, one that halts her in her tracks. A sorrowful, echoing cry, low, melodic, ancient, the voice of the Ochi. Her expression shifts. She hasn't heard that sound in years, but she hasn't forgotten. Meanwhile, Yuri and the baby Ochi press deeper into the wilderness. Hunger gnaws at her stomach. Cold nips at her fingers. She spots a small, quiet store nestled between the trees and decides to take the risk. She slips inside, keeping the Ochi wrapped in her coat. As she reaches into the fridge for a carton of milk, the baby squirms loose, his eyes landing on a shelf of eggs. He grabs one. A customer sees him. A scream pierces the air. Panic breaks loose. Shoppers scatter. Yuri grabs the baby and darts into the walk-in freezer. It's freezing. The metal walls echo with the Ochi's terrified wails. He screams and bites down on her hand hard. She winces, but doesn't let go. "It's okay," she whispers through gritted teeth. "I know you're scared." They flee once more, this time in a stolen car. Speeding through fog-covered roads, the Ochi sits beside her, silent and shaken. Guilt flashes in his eyes as he notices the bite mark on her hand. Yuri gives him a small smile. "It's not your fault." But soon, the car sputters. It cocks, then dies. Stranded, Yuri grabs the supplies and continues on foot, her hand burning with pain. At a quiet riverbank, she tries leeches to draw out the venom. Nothing works. She sinks down against a tree, exhausted. Then the baby Ochi picks up a crawling bug and holds it out to her. "Bug," he says. Yuri blinks. She understood him. Heart racing, she repeats the word. "Bug!" He nods. The line between them begins to fade. Their sounds blend. They mimic each other. It's not just mimicry, it's communication. Language, reborn in music and emotion. She eats the bug he offers. A strange gesture. A bond is sealed. Overwhelmed, Yuri laughs and twirls in a joyful dance only to crash into a hidden trap. She cries out and collapses. The baby Ochi shrieks. Miles away, Dasha hears the call. She finds Yuri unconscious and bleeding. Gently, Hishi lifts her into her arms and brings her home. When Yuri awakens, her first words are, "Where's the baby?" Dasha calms her and begins to explain. The Ochi have long been hunted by an ancient predator, the Burushin. Once just common bats, they evolved into monstrous beings feeding on Ochi blood. Only the blood of the Burushin can cure Ochi venom. Yuri tells her mother that the Ochi bite helped her understand their language. But Dasha smiles gently. "It wasn't the bite. It was the songs I used to sing you when you were little. That's how the Ochi speak. Not through words, but feelings, music, longing, grief." Yuri hesitates, then asks the question that's haunted her since childhood. "Why did you leave me?" "I didn't," Dasha says, voice soft. "Your father wouldn't let me." Later, Yuri hears that same haunting melody coming from the basement. Maxim once told her it was Dasha's favorite song. Dasha shakes her head. "That's not a song. That's a conversation." The next morning, Yuri makes up her mind. She has to return the baby Ochi home. Dasha warns her it could be fatal. Their land is sacred, protected, but Yuri won't turn back. Soon, Maxim and his boys arrive at Dasha's house, following Yuri's trail. He sees her, alive, safe. His breath catches. Emotions bubble to the surface, but old wounds reopen just as quickly. They argue. He calls her a liar. She reminds him of the time he cut her hand and refused to let her heal herself. While they argue, the boys discover a hand-drawn map of the Ochi habitat in the basement. Maxim declares he's found their home, but Dasha says plainly she already left this morning. Meanwhile, Yuri sings the Ochi call into the trees. And just when she fears he won't respond, a reply floats back. The baby Ochi appears, running into her arms. That night, as they sit by a small fire, Yuri fries a few eggs she took from home. The baby watches them cook. "Where did the eggs come from?" he asks. She pauses. "From home?" The Ochi stares into the flames. "I miss my mom." Yuri looks away, voice quiet. "I don't." But her silence afterwards speaks louder than the words. The next day, Dasha follows her daughter's trail through the wilderness, determined to help this time. Maxim, meanwhile, gives Pro one last lesson. "Feelings," he says, Aro, wait! Even an oak tree can crush the birch if it leans too hard. Yuri builds a raft and sets out across the misty lake. But on the shore, she sees Maxim. Startled, she loses control and falls into the water, scrambling to a rock. Maxim calls out to her, "I read your letter." She says nothing and disappears into the darkness of the cave. Pro speaks at last. She wasn't kidnapped. She left on her own. Maxim stares into the cave, then removes his armor. He walks alone into the cave, wounded and limping. He stumbles and gets caught in a tree root. Yuri steps from the shadows to help him. The baby Ochi watches. A small sound escapes him. Maxim hears it not with fear, but with wonder. Yuri apologizes. Maxim confesses the knife was never an heirloom. He bought it at a gas station. "I just wanted something to give you." She smiles. "It is stupid, but it's mine." Then the baby reaches out, Azad, and gives the fist gently to Maxim's hand. In that moment, everything changes. But outside, the boys rush in with weapons raised. One of them fires a warning shot. "Stop!" Maxim roars. Before another shot can ring out, Pro intervenes, pushing the gun aside. The Ochi stir frightened. Then a melody flows through the air. Deja appears at the cave's edge, playing her flute. The music is soft, warm, healing. The Ochi settle. Their breathing slows. Yuri steps forward and gently returns the baby to his mother. The forest falls silent, and for the first time in years, so does Maxime. Yuri turns and embraces her mother. Maxim watches them and smiles. In that cavern of legends, something shifts, not just between them, but in the world itself. In the song of the Ochi, a miracle begins.